Hello YouTube, Sam here from youtube.com/onlivegamer for the new Boston. And in this tutorial we're going to be taking a look at the toolbox and some of the tools that we're going to be using throughout my tutorials. Now I'm going to be covering in depth the tools that we're going to be using the most and then just give you a brief explanation of the other tools. So let's go ahead and open up our toolbox here. You can either click this or press Ctrl Alt X. Now you can see here that we have a pointer. Now you won't have to use a pointer very often, it's pretty much just a mouse that you can move over your form, and you can already do that by default. Now here we have a button, and buttons you can just add them, and you can set a bunch of properties for them. One that I wanted to mention was the dock, to where you can have it fill up the whole screen just by changing the dock, or you can anchor it to the left. Let me resize the form here. You can have it anchored to the left, or you can have it anchored to the right, or to the top, or to the bottom, anywhere you'd like. Now we've got a checkbox, and it has the check, and then it has a label next to it. Now you can take out this label and just leave a checkbox there if you want. We've got our checked list box, which is just a list of check marks, and you can add more check marks by changing the items in the collection. So just say hello, we'll add the new Boston, we'll add OnLive Gamer, and if we click OK, you can see here that it adds a couple check boxes to our checklist box. Let's go ahead and delete that, and we will delete the checkbox there. We've got a combo box, which allows you to arrow down and select from a certain number of items. Now this is useful if you want to put a text box, but you want to only let them use certain things. You would use a combo box. So let's say you're making a temperature converter. You can have it select the type of temperature it is. So instead of having them type it in themselves, you can just have them select from a combo box. We've got a date time picker, which can be used to, let's say you're making a calendar, you want to get the date and time that they set something, you can go ahead and do that. You got label, which is just a text label here, and all it does is just sit there. It doesn't move, it doesn't do anything, it just displays text on the form. Now we have link label, which can link the user to a website or something else. We have a list box, which is very useful. We're going to be using it a lot in my tutorials. It can hold a number of items, strings, and you can access those through the name of the strings, like what it's equal to, or you can access it through the index. And you can add items by coming down to the items and the properties and looking at the collection. So we'll just add some stuff here. Let's just add some random characters. And if we click OK, you can see it's added to our list box. Now, once this goes down past this mark right here, it's going to add a scroll bar automatically for you. Now let's go ahead and delete this list box right here, and we'll come down to a list view, which is similar to a list box, but you can have it separated into multiple parts, and you'll be learning more about that when we create the favorites viewer. We have mask text box, we have a month calendar, we have a notify icon, which is an icon down in your system tray that can show balloon tips to people if something happens in your application. You got your numeric up down to where you can select numbers. You got picture box, progress bar, radio button. You got your rich text box, tooltip. So a tooltip is not, you cannot see it on your form, but you can set a tooltip and connect it to something. So let's say we have tooltip 1, we want to connect it to say hello. So whenever the user mouses over say hello for a set amount of time, a little tip will pop up and it'll tell them what that button does. We got tree view, we got a web browser, and then you've got a bunch of other stuff down here that we will use later on in other tutorials. We won't use all of it, but you can go ahead and play with some of them if you want to see what they do. We are going to be using a timer, which also, like the tooltip, is not shown on your form, but it's very useful, and we will be using it later on in other tutorials. So you can go ahead and take a look at all the things that you have inside of your toolbox. If you don't understand what some of them are, then go ahead and leave a comment, or you can go ahead and look those up on Google if you want. There's a bunch of websites out there that will help you with that. So thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for the next tutorial.